What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this afternoon. So what we're going to be covering in this update is some pretty blatant market maker manipulation and even just normal market manipulation as well. We're going to be taking a look at that Max Pain theory and just show you guys the risks of trading options. Now, again, like I've said before, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. I just want everybody to fully know the risks of exactly what they plan on doing with their trades. If you are fully okay with the risk, then that is fine. You have your trading plan. You're going in fully ready for whatever happens next. But if not, that is something that you need to take a look at. We're going to go over the most up-to-date Ortex information going into next week to see where we are at in terms of that baseline short interest data. We have some also unbelievable news coming out for AMC that just goes to show that the short thesis on this company, we see this again and again, is no longer valid. Now, last year in 2020, or even the years before, it could have been a good idea to have a short position on AMC. The company was struggling. They weren't able to generate enough money. But with what we are seeing right now, what retail investors have done is essentially given AMC the ability to get their business right back on track. And right now, they are having record-breaking weekends after record-breaking weekends. And what the retail investors have kind of done is just trap these shorts in their position. We are winning, and I still believe that we have a lot of really bullish things ahead of us. Now, the last thing that we're going to be covering, it just shows us how terrible our system is set up right now. It has to do with insider trading with the members of the Federal Reserve. We've seen a couple of these things come out before, especially with senators who we know do this, but this is something we need to take a look at and really examine to really get a better understanding of how our market works at the current time and what needs to change. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So AMC closed, remember, keep this number in mind, $38.46, and we closed in the after hours trading period at $38.27. Those two numbers are going to be very important in a little bit. Now, coming over to Ortex, we're just going to go over this really quickly. For those of you guys who have not been able to see it, we have utilization at 85.41%, and then we have the short interest near all-time highs at about 20.52%. So again, shorts haven't covered even based off of this baseline bare minimum reported short interest or estimated short interest that we are receiving from Ortex. Now, when we get over to this market manipulation, it has to do with what is called Max Pain theory. So if we look at the Max Pain for this previous week, we can see right here, these are going to be the open interest bars for all of the different strike prices for this past week's expiration day. And we can see that this Max Pain number was $38. Now, for those of you guys who do not know, we need to go over exactly what this is. So according to the maximum pain theory, the price of an underlying stock tends to gravitate towards its maximum pain strike price, the price where the greatest number of options in dollar value will expire worthless. So it's not the max pain for the market makers or the institutions who are selling these options. It is the maximum pain for the individuals or institutions, for that matter, who are holding these options, meaning that they have bought them. So the maximum pain theory is controversial. Critics of the theory are divided whether the tendency for the underlying stock's price to gravitate towards the maximum pain strike price is a matter of chance or a case of market manipulation. Now, it's kind of a correlation versus causation effect, but when we think about this, the market makers have a beneficial interest in having the stock basically go right towards that maximum pain price or right on that max pain price because they are now off the hook for a vast majority of the options that they have sold. Now, when we look at what's happened with AMC over this last week, where did we close at? Around $38.27 a share, but actually, during the market hours, it was about $38.46 a share. So right around that max pain area. And when we take a look at where the max pain is for this next week, now this number is most likely going to change because almost every single week on Monday, we see a lower open interest throughout the entirety of the option chain versus going into the end of the week. So right now, the max pain setting up for this week again is $38 a share. So if you are deciding to gamble on some of these weekly options, all I would say is be careful because there are positives and negatives to having a lot of open interest on the option chain. The negatives have to revolve around this Max Payne situation, and if we start to see the stock move in the downward direction, we can see what I like to call a reverse gamma squeeze, but again, it can happen on the upside as well. So options are really just adding fuel to the fire in terms of any given price move that we are going to see due to that hedging that the market makers have to do in order to maintain that directionally neutral status. Now, let's get into some of this amazing news for AMC. When we come over here, box office, No Time to Die adds record $113 million overseas opening. The long-awaited 25th James Bond movie is igniting moviegoing across the globe as it opens in 54 foreign markets a week ahead of its debut in North America. So we will be able to go see this movie next weekend. And we also have Venom really crushing it over here, as we can see this past week. So Venom 2 had a massive Friday, the second best of the pandemic at $37.3 million, behind Disney/Marvel's Black Widow at $39.5 million. So what we're seeing here is a dynamic that the apes knew were coming. We knew that people wanted to go to the movie theater, and honestly, the amount of buzz that people have created on Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, or any of these other social media platforms has really gotten people thinking about going to the movie theater again, and we are seeing that reflected in a lot of these box office numbers. Now, what a lot of people like to say if they are a naysayer for AMC is, one, people don't like to go to the movie theaters, streaming is going to take over, but what we are seeing here, that's not really the case. The second thing is that AMC has a lot of debt, and what we know over this past week on Adam Aron's birthday, they paid off their highest interest debt. So we can see that essentially every single day that goes by, every single week, every single month, AMC is getting fundamentally better as a business. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying fundamentals don't matter in terms of this short squeeze play, but what I would say to that is it's always good to have good fundamental news versus bad fundamental news. If we were to continue to see bad fundamental news for AMC, like we were seeing previously when AMC was struggling as a business, well, the shorts would just keep adding to their positions even more, and we would see a lot more volatility. But what we're seeing here is a lot of good fundamental news, and the shorts are also adding to their position. So they're really just trapping themselves if they still think that AMC is not going to go anywhere, and that just gives us a really good opportunity as apes. And as usual, the big silverback always has some comments about his company that he is running. When we come over here, Adam Aron tweet, James Bond's No Time to Die smashes ticket sales records across the Atlantic. In the UK, Saturday ticket sales set a new one-day record for any Bond movie ever, dating back to 1962. Highest Bond day in 59 years, to the sages predicting the decline of the cinema. Choke on that. I honestly just love his tweets because, one, we know that institutions, all of these big financial institutions like Citadel, Robinhood, and a couple of these others are on Twitter and they are watching. So the fact that Adam Aron is tweeting this out and basically taking shots at some of these institutions who are naysayers of the movie theater industry as a whole, it's awesome. So this is a really good thing going forward. And like I said earlier, I know a lot of people are going to be saying, the fundamentals do not matter. They do. You cannot disregard good fundamental news because it's always good to have good fundamental news versus bad fundamental news for the company. Now, the next thing that we're going to cover, it's honestly pretty sad, in my opinion, that these individuals who have direct power over where a sector is going to move or where the market is going to move in the short term are able to make trades based on that information. When we come over here, Fed Vice Chair Clarida traded millions one day before Powell emergency pandemic statement. Earlier this week, with Fed hawks suddenly dropping like flies following the resignations of Boston and Dallas Fed Presidents Rosengren and Kaplan amid the public outcry over their recently revealed day trading activities, which benefited them as a direct result of monetary policy decisions they were explicitly and directly involved in. We joke that if the Fed wants to get rid of all the hawks. They just need to leak the trading records of Kansas City Fed President Esther George, widely viewed as the most vocal hawk among all FOMC members. Now, while it may not be George yet, but overnight, the Government Ethics Office published forms which showed that none other than the centrist Fed Vice Chair Richard Clarida may be the next to retire, following the revelation that he was trading in and out of millions in securities on February 27th, 2020. So we've seen this happen many times, and this has kind of been a common theme over the last 2 weeks. We've seen potentially and allegedly the Robinhood president and COO dumping his AMC position right before they turned off the buy button. And again, with that situation, you really don't have to be good at insider trading, because if you trade based off of material non-public information, that is a violation of insider trading rules. But we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with that, and it will most likely go through the proper legal proceedings. But we've been seeing this with the Fed. We know that all of these senators and congressmen are always making trades based on this information, and this really should not be allowed. If you have inside information, or you have the ability to put any policy into place that is going to move markets, and you make a trade based on that information before you personally sign that into effect, that is not fair, and that should not be the way our market works. So we need to see a lot of things change, but honestly, over the last 8 to 9 months, we have started to see some changes come to the market, but again, we are just getting started. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I'm trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.